Welcome to real estate, the world's loneliest career, where you're always out of balance, unfulfilled, the role models are fake, the numbers unattainable, and you're just supposed to be and do it all. Join self-made millionaire real estate agents, wives, moms, and business owners as we level up, learn from special guests, and elevate and disrupt an entire industry through real education our way.
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday. I am so excited for this one today. We have our friend Matt McKenzie, who is the nerd of the master, the Mr. Shredder of all things lead generation. And he is here to talk to us about that today, which I think is insanely timely because that is all anyone is talking about right now is how do I generate leads? What is lead generation? Where do they come from? How do I do it? Right. So, Matt, but if you would, for just a second before we really kick this off, tell us about your background because you have an interesting story and how you kind of came into real estate, if you would.
Yeah, guys, it's just an honor to be here. So thank you for having me. This is super great. So a little bit about me, like little 45-second elevator pitch. I have been in sales for a total of 8 years. I used to sell insurance before I got into real estate. Also, a lot of my just cutting my teeth, grinding on the phones comes from that world. But I joined up with Jordan. So Jordan Terrell is the CEO and owner, founder of Jordan Terrell Group. And I joined up with Jordan when he first started. And I like to tell a little story here. This kind of just gives you my intro into this whole world of what is ISA, lead generation, lead conversion nerd, all the things. So I showed up to the office the first day, and Jordan was like, hey, here's the CRM. We use Follow Up Boss. And here's kind of how things work. And then literally 10 minutes into the training, he got a phone call and had to go show a client. Well, I'm someone who doesn't like to just sit around. And so he was kind of like, hey, we'll just play with the system. I don't really expect anything from you this week other than learning. Well, while Jordan was gone, I just started like doing things. I saw that he had over like 1,500 leads that needed to be followed up with and weren't. And I was just like, okay, like he clearly is busy and doesn't have enough time. And I guess that's why I'm here. So I just started doing it. And when he came back, I had 4 appointments set for him. That was my training. That was my introduction into the role of the ISA and lead generation. And we've built a department and scaled a department from there. So pretty bare bones, pretty raw. My first year, I closed 25 deals. My second year, I closed 47 deals. My third year, I closed 80. My fourth year, I closed just over 100. And last year, I was a part of 122. So, yeah. So, and that represents, just so you know, like ISA team with the Jordan Terrell Group, it has a direct influence in about 57% of our company's business year over year. Whether it's us directly setting the appointment, either coaching the agent on how to handle that, or me personally manage it. We're in Zillow Flex, which is a partnership with Zillow. I manage that partnership for our team. So that also drives a fair amount of the business that we do. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. That's where I'm at now. And I'm just stoked to be here and talk about all things lead conversion.
Can you tell us what an ISA is for some people that might not know, and what that role means?
Inside sales associate, agents, whatever you want to call it, those terms are interchangeable. The role, what does an ISA do? An ISA is in charge. They're the front line for everything in a real estate business. If you think about it, you as a real estate agent, if you don't have an ISA, you are the ISA. But if you had an ISA, this person would be responsible for your lead spend. So your ad spend for all your leads. What lead sources are you going to use? They're responsible for maintaining the CRM, making sure all the things are like apples go with apples, oranges go with oranges, you know? And they're responsible. Their main job is to call, text, and email and nurture and set appointments for people, for agents. So on our team, our goal is to set 2 appointments per day per ISA. That's our minimum acceptable standard on our team. And we average that out over the week. So there is some days in real estate where you don't set an appointment, but you make 500 calls. So for us, it's really about holding a standard of like either 2 appointments set per day, 25 conversations, or 250 outbound contact attempts. You have to be doing those things minimally as an ISA per day to make money in this business. So that's what an ISA does, and that's what it is. Hopefully that answers your question.
I like laying a little precedence for this whole conversation. First of all, for anyone that's listening, Jordan was on our show last year. We love Jordan. But how long has Jordan been in the business?
Jordan has been in the business for 7 years.
Okay. And you've been with him how long again?
It'll be 6 years in August. So.
Okay. So I think the point that I'm trying to make there is you are going to dispel some of probably like the biggest rumors that we hear in real estate every day, all day long, which is A, you can't build a business or a team unless you've been in the business for decades. B, lead generation doesn't work. C, calling definitely doesn't work, right? Like, and that's what we hear all day long. So you just said that you walked into the office like basically day one and set 4 appointments out of like what type of leads were those that were sitting in the database?
Yeah. Google pay-per-click leads. So people who maybe Googled something like homes for sale in Denver and ended up on our website and were looking around and nobody had followed up with them. What did I say when I followed up with them? I'd have to go back and pull the call. Here's what we say now. So this is like little conversion tip number 1, I guess. You have to come from curiosity. Picture this. You walk into a furniture store. What's the first thing the salesperson says? Hey, what brought you in today? Well, what do you think brought them in today? They're looking at furniture. That's a super off-putting question. We need to start from a better launching point. So the approach we take is something like, hey, Matt, we noticed you were looking at a few homes on one of our websites, and this is just a courtesy text. Out of curiosity, were you looking for fun or maybe thinking about making a change at some point? That's literally what we say to everybody. That message alone has a 57% response rate in the first 7 days on our Google PPC plan. Folks, it's about how you write your message. You can't just say, hey, are you looking to buy a home? That's the most off-putting thing ever. So it's how we write our messages. And I guess you hit on a little bit about how calling doesn't work. I think calling works for people that you've already talked to. I think calling new PPC leads does not work. Hear me say it. It's dead. It's done. Mm-hmm. Texting is the name of the game. 80% of our appointments are set over text message, which is actually a better quality of life for an ISA.
Yes.
And a better quality of life for a client. They don't have to get on a phone. When people's phone rings, their first thing is like scam, sales call, blah, blah, blah. People are so off put by that. Mobile carriers are shutting it down anyways, so we might as well get on the texting train. And then, I would say, I guess where were we going with that? I lost my train of thought. I kept going.
No, I mean, so reaching out to those cold leads does work. Like that's one of the craziest things that I feel like every agent I've ever trained, every team that I've ever stepped in to like consult with or help, like that's the first thing that their agents always say is like the leads suck, or we've called them all or reached out to them already, or it's just not physically possible to convert over the phone, to convert cold leads anymore, which you guys are clearly proving is 100% incorrect, right?
There's so much gold that exists in your database. And so, we us as real estate professionals, and I'm guilty of this too, so I'll throw myself in here. We have this shiny object syndrome, like, ooh, let's go try the new thing. Let's go try this. Let's go try that. Folks, it doesn't work unless you have a system put in place that is done consistently over a period of time. The average amount of attempts it actually takes until you have a conversation with a PPC lead is 25. Most agents take the PPC lead, call them, maybe text them, maybe send an email, and then forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
People have lives. They're busy. They were on your website. Maybe they'll text back if your text is written really good, or you're that compelling over the call. You happen to catch them at that time. But guys, it takes at least 25 attempts before you even have a conversation. So you can either do that manually, or you can partner with a CRM like Follow Up Boss or Sierra or any other of these. Chime is another one that automates that for you. And so now you're handling responses, not new leads. The game has changed. It's no longer speed to lead, because you should have a CRM that allows you to do that. It's speed to response. That's the name of the game.
So what would you tell an agent that is feeling like, they're coming off of this last quarter that for a lot of agents, it was really challenging, and they might have drained their bank account quite a bit, but they know they need to do something different. How expensive is this investment? And arguably, how costly is it if you don't use this? And where do they find an ISA?
Yeah. That's it. Those are, if I'm hearing you right, there's 3 separate questions. Okay. Last quarter was tough for me. I spent a lot of money. What do I need to do with the opportunity I have now? Secondly, what habits do I need to build so I don't run into a tough quarter again? Number 2. And then number 3, how do I hire an ISA? So I guess let's tackle number 1. What do you do with the opportunity that you have now? Every agent at a minimum needs to lead generate or lead nurture 2 hours a day. Put it on your calendar. The best times to call or text people are between 8 and 10, 12 and 1, and 4 and 6. 8 and 10, 12 and 1, 4 and 6. Just think about the average working American in the day. Like, those are the times they probably are either getting ready for work, on lunch, or getting off work. So your main lead generation or lead nurture hours should be around those times. 2 hours a day at minimum. And if you're manually making calls, you should be able to get 40 calls done in an hour if you're having a couple conversations. So if you can touch 40 people a day, some people say I'm really bad at math, but I think if you're doing that, say even just 4 days a week at minimum, that's 280 contact attempts a week. Yep. Again, I'm really bad at math, but so that's what I think you should do with the people you have. I would also get a CRM that can help you automate that. Like, when we have old leads in our system, after a certain amount of days, they get put on an old lead plan that automates texting to them. Again, those plans have a huge response rate because of the way they're written. So make sure your message is good too. So that's question number 1 we answered. Should we move on to question number 2? Okay. So question number 2, what habits do I need to build so I don't have another tough quarter? Well, we kind of answered that in question 1. We have to have a consistent time to lead generate or lead nurture. And guys, this is not just for leads. It's for your sphere too, by the way. It works. Your sphere and your lead nurture generation might look like scheduling a coffee with a friend. What other business, by the way, do you get to be an agent and go have coffee with your friend and call it work? That's pretty cool. So it could be not just leads, but it could be also your sphere or your past clients. By the way, your best lead source is your past clients. If you are not being referred, it means you're not being memorable. So you need to up your memorable game. What are you doing to nurture your past clients? Are you sending them gifts? Are you touching base with them? Are you giving them vendor lists? Whatever it is, like there's so much stuff out there, guys, that you can it's really easy. And a lot of it actually integrates directly with your CRM. So you could put it on autopilot if you wanted to. But really what needs to happen is you reaching out to your past clients 4 times a year, minimum. That's what we do on our team, 4 times a year. So once a quarter. So that's question number 2, just build habits. Question number 3, how do you hire an ISA? Oh boy. I will say this is the hardest position to hire for in real estate because it's also the hardest position to maintain. So it's more about finding the right who than it is just about throwing anybody into that. So we have a 9-step hiring process for an ISA. And it's proven to be successful. We have an ISA on our team. His name's Travis. He's a rock star. This was his first year as an ISA, and he closed 47 deals. The average ISA maybe touches 15, 10, 20. That's kind of what I've heard on an average. So he's beating the average.
I still feel like 15 is like really high.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wow, impressive, very impressive.
Yeah, but he's working his butt off. He's getting better. Like, it's hard work, it's a grind, but he has embraced the how. That's one of our core values over here at the Jordan Tail Group. He's embraced that process and leaned into it, and he's reinvented himself. It's actually been really cool to see. So you should have him on sometime, by the way.
I know, I was just thinking that.
47 deals. How do we find Travis? So let me tell the story how we found Travis. Travis was referred to us by someone who works here at the company. And Travis went through our hiring process. That's the other important thing. Just because you know somebody does not mean they do not get a hiring process. You have to put everybody through the same process. Just like it's like trying to go like show somebody a house and have no idea what they actually qualify for. It's that same logic. Like, just don't do it. It's bad news for everybody. So our 9-step hiring process looks something like this. I'll go really quick here. First, we use Wise Hire to put a job out there. And we do pushes on our social media pages, whether it's the Jordan Tail Group page, Jordan himself, myself, all of our agents put it out there. Because we'd rather hire somebody we know than somebody we don't. That's a principle of this whole thing. I'd rather be a little bit of a warm intro. Just like as an agent, you'd rather work with someone who likes, loves, and trusts you already. So, so that same principle applies. So that's step 1. Step 2, every single candidate has to send us a video of themselves answering 4 questions. Here's why we do this, because most people skip straight to interviews. Not interested in interviewing people that aren't going to be a good fit. So when someone sends a video, I can tell how do they carry themselves on camera? How do they speak? Would they be good on the phone? Are they tech savvy? Because if they can upload the thing to YouTube and go through all that steps, I know they can figure out a CRM. So automatically I am like weeding out people who can't do it. And that alone will cut down your actual interest, because the actual people who follow through on that next step, if they don't follow through, they're out of the process already. So we're just weeding down. So we cast a wide net. We get a bunch of candidates. They send us, they fill out an application, a DISC profile. So we also get to see their DISC and really have some insight there. They do the video. Step 3 is a group interview where they come in, and it's usually key leadership on our team. We break them out into groups, and we have 10 questions that we ask in that group, and we popcorn all around. That gives us a chance for the key leadership on our team to really see this person. And does this person align with our core values? Does this person align with this role that they're interviewing for? And sometimes we find out that this person's not a good fit for the ISA, but they might be a good fit for an agent, or they might be a good fit for a staff or an admin. So we've actually found some of our other key positions around here at the Jordan Tail Group through this process. We just put them in a different lane. So that's just a caveat. So that's really step 3. Step 4 is an hour-long interview with me, which feels like a CIA interrogation. Like, I'm not kidding. We turn over every leaf. Like, I'm asking them questions like, what are you really bad at? That's one of my favorite questions to ask. Another one of my favorite questions to ask is like a situational thing. Hey, someone tells you they're just looking. What do you say next? I want to see what their knee-jerk reaction is to overcome objections in the interview. So They do that. They have a little bit of homework coming out of that. If they want to move to the next stage, they have to write an essay question or answer some essay questions and send it back to us in a Word document. While they're doing that, we're calling the references that they submitted with their application. And then I guess we're on step 8 now. Then if we're moving people on to the next interview process, we do a spousal or significant other interview. Here's why. The role of the ISA, 4 hours of the day. And if their spouse ain't on board with them taking a phone call at 8:00 at night, this will never work. So their spouse or their significant other needs to be very clear on what this person is signing up to do. This is a sales role that requires you to work at some odd hours, but could be thousands of dollars of payoff for you if you're good at it and are willing to do it. So it really is a customizable life as an ISA. And so I work even when I don't want to, because I have automation working for me. But I can also choose to turn it on or off when I want to. I have full control over that, but I have minimums I need to hit. So that spousal interview is the last and one of the most important steps. And then the last step is a job offer. And if they accept, they get launched into our ISA boot camp, which in 30 days, they have to complete our 2,000 dial challenge. They have to make 2,000 dials in our lead pond that's been picked over. They have to complete all of our onboarding and pass a role play test covering 7 different topics with me personally. They also have to set a minimum of 5 appointments in that 30 days out of those cold leads. They're working some leads that are very hard to convert. Then we have that's the first 30 days. There's a 60-day period as well, and then a 90-day. And by that 90th day, if they don't have something under contract, then we're having a coach up or coach out conversation. So
everybody that's listening, we're dropping some of Matt's big requirements here in the comments just for everybody.
Sorry, I talk really fast.
No, you're incredible. Holy moly. Okay, so like obviously there's a big difference between why you're successful and other people that don't have systems, processes, and tools and accountability are not successful with this for sure, right? So I guess one of the other things that I would like to address is you'll never find anybody like that. Nobody's going to do that job. Cold calling is horrible. Cold texting leads is horrible. I'm not going to do it myself. Nobody else would do it. So, I mean, you're consistently finding people who are doing this job and doing it at a really high level, correct? There are differences with your team about how those people can kind of move up and gain new opportunities in your team if they're successful at that job. So do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's maybe a huge reason for why you're getting such good quality people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, just to be fully transparent, guys, we're at about a 40% success rate with ISAs. What I mean by that is we've actually failed more times than we've been successful. But the difference between Jordan and I, we don't view failure as a bad thing. We view it as an opportunity to get better, and we are not stopping because we believe that this ISA model is the key to solving profitability for an agent's business. It really is. So that you as an agent did not sign up to make phone calls and text to people. You signed up to show people homes, to add value, to be a trusted advisor. We want to put them in the role that they signed up for. But if you don't have an ISA, you are the ISA. It actually pays. I think the agents that have been the ISA, when they do hire the right ISA, they appreciate it so much more. So that's really important. But your question was around repeat your question one more time. I'm so sorry.
Upward mobility and opportunity for those people on your team. Because, I guess I've just seen like a lot of agents go out and hire a virtual assistant or, someone that they're going to be an ISA forever. And I feel like the way that you guys structure your team in terms of upward mobility for everybody is really unique and part of the reason why you get such good people and why they stay with you.
Yep. I think we operate under this premise, treat people so well or treat people so well they don't want to leave and train them so they don't have to.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
We have always, and this is something that I really appreciate about Jordan, he has always found a way to create a pathway for somebody to help them get closer to what they want for their life. He's behind it. Most people take the opposite approach. If they don't fit into the model, then at some point they're going to leave. And for us, it's much more about, the conversations we're having with our staff is, what do you want for your life? And how does this place help you get it? What does this place need to be so it's the last place you ever want to work? Like, we're constantly taking a temperature check of what that is. And we haven't always got it right. I think in real estate, it's really, really easy to put things in the perspective of commission signs, dollars, and all that stuff. That's not what this is about. This is that you are in the business of helping people get what they want when they want it, and have the freedom to do what they want with who they want, whenever they want. That's the definition of financial freedom. Ben Kinney says that in one of his books. Terrible titles. I don't know which one that is. So for us on our team, how does an ISA move up in the level of opportunity? Well, by the time if an ISA gets through to the 90th day and we've actually stayed true to our process, there's no way they won't close a deal or have something under contract, rather. That's the goal, is we want one thing under contract by 90 days. I want them making money within 90 days. Most people, when they get into real estate, they don't make money for 9 months. We do the same thing on the agent side. If someone is not making money by 90 days, they can make more money bagging groceries at King Soopers than they could actually being in real estate, which is supposed to pay you 6 figures if you do it right. So for us, it's about hitting the metrics in that 30, 60, 90-day onboarding that we have for each of our positions to get them making money. Now, they have to set a certain amount of appointments out of a quality of leads or a pool of leads. Once they do that, they graduate to get a little more. So our next tier would get like newer PPC leads. They get access to expireds and for sale by owners. So they have a little bit more of like hey, there's some potential ready now if you do a good job converting, right? That's for ISAs. Similar thing for agents. And then tier 3, they hit that, or that 90-day. If they're there and they've done all the metrics, they get access to like incoming calls like Google Local Services, or Zillow, or Realtor.com, or HomeLight, or some of the other lead sources we have that are like, these people have very high intent on moving, or will at some point, and it's a higher quality lead. So we make them earn that. Everything is earned, nothing is given.
I want to pause you there for a quick second, because I think you said something that's so important that I don't think that a lot of people in real estate understand, which is that you don't start a team because you want to have your name everywhere. You don't start a team because you even necessarily need help and you just want to propel your own business bigger and bigger and bigger. You start a team because you want to help other people, which in that case is other agents, right? So like, if you don't have a servant heart, a leadership heart, in my opinion, you probably don't have business running a team. And I think that's one of the reasons why you hear so many terrible stories about people joining, finger quotes, the wrong team. And sometimes we know that's just because people can't deal with the accountability a team provides. But also, I do believe it's because there's a lot of teams out there that aren't following your philosophy, which is that, what can we do to not just like make our lives better? We're in the business of helping these agents. What can we do to make their lives better?
Mm-hmm. And ultimately, I think this is where brokerages get it wrong. I might make some frenemies by saying this. Most brokerages are in it for their bottom line and their profitability, which is important, because if you're going to run a business, it needs to be profitable. Brokerages aren't a nonprofit business. But too often, I think why we see people leaving is because there's no value.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to charge an outrageous split, you better make sure that the value that you're giving that person is there to back it up. So Alex Hormozi, in his book, $100 Million Offers, talks about this premise of don't decrease your price, increase your value. Everything is about value. So you can charge a premium, you can charge a 50% split if you have an ISA team that's setting them appointments. If you have a partnership like Flex, where they get their phone rings 20 times a week when they're on, with people who want to buy and make a move. where they have a TC team, which we do, who takes care of everything after it goes under contract so that the agent's not doing paperwork. When you have a past client department that's helping that agent nurture their past client relationships, get more reviews and referrals. You can do that when you have all that. I think why we see agents leaving is most brokerages give their people a desk and a space, maybe, and maybe access to some expired service, maybe, and say, go for it, have fun, no training. I think it's irresponsible to charge a 50% split if you're not willing to provide value to somebody. So probably just made a lot of frenemies, but I'm a truth teller. So
no, I think it's totally true. 1,000,000% true. Yeah. I want to know, okay, let's flip for a second. Let's talk to, I know Angela kind of touched on this. Let's talk to the agents who aren't on a team, don't have a team, which, by the way, we've said on this show many times, like we are fans of teams in the right situations for sure. We made a lot of frenemies saying that too, because people don't love to hear that. But when Angela and I started in this business, there was no such thing as a team 20 years ago. If you were in trouble and you didn't have training or support or leads, or, like you either just figured it out or you failed. And the opportunity that agents have now to be able to go and partner with people like you who will build them a career that is like amazing is so cool. So if you're listening and you're on the fence about joining a team, you should consider it. Find the right team. But, we're pretty pro team here. But let's talk to like the people who are single agents or maybe even newer team owners who don't have an extensive budget to go out there and do Zillow Flex or a ton of pay-per-click. Like where should they start?
Yeah, this is great. As a solo agent, everyone needs community. As a solo team leader, branding team leader, everyone needs community. Find people. Number one, find people who are doing or where you want to be in 5 or 10 years and just ask to be a fly on the wall. The days of us not collaborating as companies, real estate agents, and brokerages needs to go away because we are much stronger together than we are apart. It's one of the reasons why we joined Real is it's so collaborative. And it's one of my favorite things about it. I think the days of like, ooh, that's Keller Williams, you don't touch them. Like, who cares? If you can go learn a thing from somebody who is doing something at a higher level than you, you should. Buy them lunch, buy them coffee, be a fly on the wall, be that annoying person that never goes away that always wants to talk to them. Like persistence wins the game all day long. So find somebody who's doing things better than you and learn from them. That's number one. Number two, where do you start practically? Start with the people that like, love, and trust you the most. Get referrals, get reviews. Those are the two most valuable commodities in real estate. Reviews and referrals. Reviews because everything is Google-based now, guys. What is coming? Google is working on, and I don't know anybody at Google. I've heard it from all the smart people who are way smarter than me. Google is coming out with the ability to do home searches right on the Google page. So you don't no longer have to go to realtor.com or jordantowgroup.com or any of those other websites to look for homes. You could do it right on the Google page. You know what's going to say at the bottom of the page? Would you like to learn a little bit more about the real estate market or go tour this home with these following agents? And the following agents that will be there are the teams with the most reviews in that city and the teams that are helping the most people in that city. Those are the two things that are going to drive that. That's coming. So reviews are really important. Put them on Google. And really, really, really simple way of asking for a review. Ask for a review at the high points of the transaction. Ask for a review when somebody gets pre-approved. Hey, and don't ask for a review. Actually ask for feedback. Hey, how's the process been working with my team and I? That's going to give you real-time feedback from a client, right? Next high point, when they go under contract. People get really excited. Oh my gosh, we're under contract. That's amazing. Especially now that the market, I don't know if you guys are feeling this, but the market's starting to pick back up again. We got multiple offer situations happening. So that's a good thing. We want that. But people are going to get really excited about getting under contract. So ask for feedback. when you're at the closing table, this is where you ask for the review. You have to do it after the closing. Hey, you've shared with me some really, really timely feedback, Lindsay, and thank you so much for taking the time. I was curious, would you be willing to help me out with something? The best compliment you could ever pay me is either writing me a review on Google, just sharing your story, sharing your experience of working with me. So that's number one, and I can send you a link. It's super easy. If you wouldn't mind just taking 2 minutes of your time to write a review, that would help me out a lot. Could you help me out with that? Great. And Lindsay, the second thing, so we're transitioning into referrals. You should be asking for referrals if you're a real estate agent, by the way. But there's a certain way to do this. Not
anyone who's willing to buy a seller.
Yeah. Bad question. You never assume that somebody's willing to give you a referral. Here's what you say, and here's what we found the most success in. I heard this from Eric Hatch, who's one of the most brilliant minds in real estate. Follow him. You will learn a lot just by being on his social media. He drops a new nugget every day. He's great. So Eric has coached our team to say this, and it's worked every time. Lindsay, if I ever earn the right to help somebody that you know and love and trust in the same way that I just helped you, I just want you to know how to introduce them to me. That way it takes all the awkwardness out. Most people just ask for a name and phone number. I actually don't want that. I would actually prefer that if you have somebody in mind, that you would actually just three-way text me and them with you in there. And I'll give you the exact verbiage on what to say if you want it, or you can make it up. Either way, it takes the awkwardness out of that. So if I ever earn the right to get introduced to somebody that you like, love, and trust to help them in their real estate needs, just three-way text me. That way there's no like, can I have your contact information? Can I share your contact information? Just know, hey, I'm going to three-way text you. And then I'll take it from there. You with me on that?
Yep. Beautiful.
Okay, great. And then you follow up with your past clients. You give them gifts. You have client events. All those things bring you top of mind when they're at Uncle Joe's house and Uncle Joe says they were going to make a move. So, yep.
Beautiful.
So reviews and referrals, that's where you should start. And then very, very simply, these are free leads, by the way. These are free leads. There are so many portals out there to get leads. I like the following.
Okay, we're going to put them in the show notes for everybody. This is like bombs you're dropping. Okay, HomeLight.
Realtor.com or OpCity. All these have a referral fee attached to them, by the way, but they're free leads, essentially. You're going to get the lead. You just have to work it.
Yeah, and for anyone who's listening, that means you don't have to pay for them up front, which when you're starting in your real estate business, or as Angela said, you're coming off a couple tough quarters, that's a big deal, right? Yep. So, yeah.
Yep. Google local services. This is predicated off of reviews. If you do not have your Google My Business page dialed in, which now it's moved to Maps, it's moved to Google Maps. If you do not have that dialed in, that's showing your reviews, that has your logo, that has a front picture of your office, by the way, with a 360-degree tour of the inside, and every review on there responded to by someone on your team in an organic way, if you do not have that dialed in, you are losing in today's real estate environment, because there are people that will find you and call you directly, and as a result of your reviews and your experience that you give others, will make the decision to call you and say, hey, Lindsay, I need help selling my house. Guys, there is not a better lead in real estate than someone who finds you and says, I want to work with you. So if you're not doing that, you're missing out on those. That's a free portal. You don't pay Google for that. It's all advertising. They have their own systems. So there you go. And then if you want to move into Google pay-per-click, here's what I would recommend. Do not try to do it on your own. Hire a lead manager. I can give you guys a few lead managers that we like, love, and trust if you'd like to. They're great. Just hit me up after the show or DM me somewhere and I can introduce you. Happy to make that warm introduction anytime. But we use a lead manager that optimizes all of our pay-per-click, that knows what they're doing, that's way smarter than us, that has way higher relationships than we do. That's just something that we're willing to do. We're willing to pay a percentage service fee for that. But pay-per-click is really important because if you work those leads the right way, there's so much ROI. So we might have paid 10, like for instance, the appointment that I just set before I got on this call was with a family that is looking to purchase a home for their son who is going to go to the School of Mines in Golden. And I just had a conversation with them, got an understanding of what they were looking for, built rapport, built trust, and passed them off to an agent on our team. A couple on our team named Scott and Jen Severn, who are probably two of the most baller real estate agents they are out there on our team. Shameless plug for them. And they are going to help these people find a home in Golden. You can go look up what the average price point is in Golden and do your research on that. But the ROI is insane if you work these types of leads. So $10 is your cost of acquisition. For a profit, if the average sales price, they say I'm not very good at math. If your average sale price is just $500,000, your average commission rate is 2.8. That's a $14,000 gross commission on a $10 lead. Do the math. That's crazy ROI. So,
but okay, let's back up and talk about the caveats with that though. So let's talk about me. Okay, so we talked about agents who, like, let's be honest, everyone's had a weird couple months, right? So that's just like the way that it is for everyone. So we just talked about agents who had a weird couple months and don't have money to invest going forward. Now let's talk about agents who had a weird couple months and are like, I'm just going to start throwing money at the walls in Q1 of 2023 because I've got to get business somewhere, right? So let's say that you do have a budget, even just a small one, to go out and start purchasing leads from somewhere. When are you ready for that? What do you need to have in place? And like, when should you not do that? Because I've seen so many people that are like balling in money for leads and nothing comes of it.
Yep. Start small. Everything that Google wasn't built in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So start small. It's about committing to the amount that you're able to follow up with. And I would say if you're an agent and you're using a CRM, that has automation doing some of the heavy lifting for you, you should be able to handle about 200 leads a month. No problem. And then you're just handling conversations. I've seen agents handle 350, but they have a higher capacity. I would say 200 is kind of the sweet spot. That's what we do for ISAs who are doing this full time, by the way. It's about 500 leads a month per ISA. So they can double the amount of an agent because they have more time.
What are those CRMs with automation? Can you hit us with that again?
Follow Up Boss. Follow Up Boss is a great CRM because it will allow you to, it has an open API connection to almost anything through Zapier. If you're ever interested in plans, by the way, and ways of like reaching people, feel free to DM me. I work very closely with Robbie T, who's one of the best lead conversion coaches in the country. And we've put together plans for following up and nurturing and generating leads for Chime, Sierra, and Follow Up Boss. So we have all that. We can talk about that with you and see if it's a fit. It might not be a fit, but let's at least have a conversation. So, so Chime, Sierra, and Follow Up Boss are the three that I would ever use.
I would caution people. There's a couple out there that are like, oh my God, this is a whole, we could get into this for another 3 hours. Watch the shiny objects if you're investing in lead generation for the first time, because like even just the CRM, there are CRMs out there that you can invest in that can be thousands and thousands of dollars a month just for the CRM technology. Everything that Matt mentioned is really reasonable price wise, and you don't need Boomtown and those guys. We love you, and you have the applications for the right people for sure, but like you don't need that stuff necessarily to start with, for sure.
Yep. So and then our rule of thumb too here, as far as how much we're spending on leads, we want to spend about 9% of the goal of the gross income or the gross GC or the GCI that we're planning on making this year. So for instance, this year on the Jordan Terrell Group, we have a goal of 8 million in GCI. And so we want to spend about 99% of that. Another really important factor of this, so when you do that math, it's kind of crazy how much you spend that. So break it down monthly because it's easier to digest. Find a lender partner. A preferred and trusted lender is your best friend to do co-marketing with you. We have an awesome lender partner, the concierge team at Neo Home Loans. Jessica Uphoff is the number 17 loan originator in the country. She is unbelievable, and I'm a shameless plug type of person. She is one of the wisest people I've ever talked to when it comes to financials in real estate. So make sure you have a rock star lender that understands that side of the business, because you don't speak mortgages. They do. So let them do their job, partner with a lender, create a win-win situation where now you cut your cost of acquisition of a lead in half because you have a lender partner going in with you on it. And leverage them, guys. They are really smart at what they do. They're in sales too. They can convert as well. Like, leverage them. When it makes sense to have the lender conversation, us as ISAs, I love lenders. I'm sending that client right to a lender. If we have not determined, if they have no clarity, especially if they're a first-time home buyer, they don't have clarity on what they can afford, I'm getting them in front of a lender, because I know if I get them in front of Jessica and her team, they will educate them on their options. They will help them win, which is going to make our job easier. So find a lender partner. That's the other thing.
Angela just asked a super interesting question, which is, why don't lenders have ISAs? Some of them do.
Yes, Jessica and her
Like
team.
Jessica, yeah. Which, by the way, Jessica can lend nationally. So if there's anyone listening, we've actually reached out to her several times to come on the show, and we've just never been able to connect with her schedule. But she's amazing. So you can catch her across the country.
I'm going to text her right now and tell her she needs to do this.
Like, I have never heard of an ISA that works with a lender, at least down here where I live. I just don't think that there's any lenders that are at that same level down here, I guess. I don't know. Not that I've ever seen anyway.
Here's what we always say, because like the most common objection, people go to their bank to get pre-approved and all this stuff, and I'm like, hey, that's great, and actually we want to have like 3 different lenders that we're actually looking at, because what we can do is put them against each other, find the best deal. I use that whole thing. I know that they're going to end up with our preferred lender because they're just better, frankly. There's no buts about it. Absolutely. But I encourage them to get multiple opinions, but I caution them on a bank, because, hey, Lindsay, I'm totally game to work with Wells Fargo, just so you know, if that's the route that you want to go. Can I offer maybe 2 things that we want to make sure we have in place if we're going to go that route? Okay, great. Number 1, do you have a 720 or 303 number that you can call at any time of the day, weekday or weekend? If the answer to that question is no, then we might run into trouble when we're going to submit your offer on a Sunday night, and we need to be the first offer in. Number 2, can they be competitive? Can they shop around your rate? Can they do a 3-2-1 buy down? Because in this interest rate environment, 3-2-1 buy downs are gold. If they can't do that, hey, there might actually be an option out there that would help you get more house and fit into your budget. So if the answer to those 2 questions is no, even if they continue to work with you, it's in the client's best interest, you can't steer them towards one or the other, that's pretty compelling. If we can't get the offer in and we have to spend more money to get more house, or we don't have options. So
how, let's say that you're an agent with a team, without a team, new, not new, who's never gone to any of their vendor partners, whether it's a lender, an inspector, I don't know, an HVAC guy, whoever, to ask for some type of help with their marketing budget or lead generation budget. Like, how would you recommend that they approach that? Because
with verbiage,
said this to me once, which I always think back about this and it makes me laugh. A friend of mine who owns a team who I love dearly said, basically real estate agents are scared to death of anything that will actually make them money or help them make money. which is
Sure.
like so true. So like agents are terrified to make the calls to leads, and they're terrified to make the call to anyone who could help them get leads. And it's so bizarre to me.
Yep. A new agent. Okay. Again, I might not be the smartest tool in the shed, but when I first got into real estate, I'll just use my experience. I didn't know anything about the lending world. I didn't know anything. Frankly, when I got into real estate, I didn't even own a house. So I had no idea what it took to buy a house. So if you're new, Google top lender in your city. Literally Google it. Just like leads find you as the best real estate agent in that city, go Google the top lender in that city, the top local lender in Colorado Springs. First one that comes up, call them, ask to buy them coffee, not for the
I'm gonna do
purpose
it right
of
now.
marketing, but for the purpose of learning about lending. Hey, I'm brand new into real estate. I've got big aspirations for my business. Here's where I want to go. I don't know anything about lending, and I want to be a resource for my clients. Can you help me? I promise you there's not a lender out there that won't agree. And if they don't agree to it, then you probably don't want to work with them. So most lenders will be pretty open to that conversation. So I would be doing that. So that's one of the things, frankly, guys, when Jordan first got in real estate, the first thing he did was hire a coach, and then he got a lender partner. So,
which is so backwards because, again, allergic to things that make you money. Most real estate agents can be decades into the business and still refuse to hire a coach because it costs money. And what will it do for me? Which is not the way that you should look at things. And clearly, because you guys have only been in the business 7-8 years, the way you've done things is the correct way to do things. It's just not the way that most people do things. So
and maybe correct is not even the right word, because we're still learning about stuff that we're breaking all the time. I think we're just willing to fail forward. We're willing to make it happen, to take chances, and use it as a learning opportunity. I can't tell you how many times I fail on a daily basis. I just have a different viewpoint. And Jordan has coached me on how to have a different viewpoint. People like Robbie have coached me into how to have a different viewpoint. So I think it's all about how you view failure.
And on that note, what would you say to the agent that has just had their butt completely kicked by the last couple months in this business? Maybe they've never been through a change like this before and they're just down in the dumps. I mean, we've seen, I posted something the other day that said over 1,000 real estate agents in the last 12 weeks have hung up their license in just Colorado alone, right? We're number 3 in the country for agents retiring their licenses. So what do you say to that agent?
Yeah. My heart goes out to you. I know what it's like to have been there. I failed in the insurance business. I failed out of it. I get it. One of my favorite people on planet Earth, someone who frankly is our biggest example of what it actually means to live a life serving others. And since it happens to be Martin Luther King Junior Day or it was on Monday, I want to share this quote. The ultimate measure of a person is not where they stand in moments of comfort or convenience, but it's where they stand at times of challenge and controversy. I promise you that if you just get back up, that if you just make that one extra phone call, that if you just be that extra curious about somebody when you do get them into conversation, when you find a way to add value that's different than anyone else out there, when you serve people above all else, you will win. I promise. But you have to get back up. And I know it's hard. Real estate's a hard business because not only do you have to manage yourself, you have to manage others. But you can only control yourself. So that's a decision to get up and start going again. And friends, you can do it. You were built, human body was built, and the human mind was built for resistance. It's by resistance that we gain strength. And so embrace it. Embrace that toughness. Embrace that it's tough. You should be so excited that if you're viewing this the right way, and I hate that people are getting out of business because it could be a number of different things, but frankly, I'm excited because this for clients is probably the biggest financial transaction of their life. If you don't want to take up the conviction and the mantle to steward that well, if you can't do that, there's no shame, but this is probably not the right business for you. Figure that out really quick. Because if you do, you're gonna have a lot of heartache, and you might cause a lot of heartache for other people, but mostly yourself. Don't get into this business because of something, or I guess don't get into this business thinking that you're going to be successful overnight. Everything is earned, nothing is given, but you have to pick yourself back up. And I've had to do this. Like I said, I've failed. I have a 40% success rate with ISAs. What do you think that says about me and my leadership? There are times where I'm like, yep, you weren't cut out for this. I have to cut that out. I have to look at the successes that I have had. I need to find the gold in those things and hang on to those things, and then be humble enough to look at my failure and ask for help, ask for coaching, and lean into the harsh criticism that provides. So I could go on.
When
and
I
on
heard
about
30%, I felt like that was really good. If you want to feel better about yourself and your failure rate, look at the amount of assistance that I've had. Like, we're just not good at hiring, like, I feel like you're killing it. So don't be so hard on yourself. I feel like eventually we all get it and we all figure it out, but it takes forever sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And we just, as realtors, we are not conditioned to do anything the easy way. We have to do things the hard way for whatever reason. It looks like there's some kind of a badge or some kind of a special award, like a home snap for like, hey, we did it the worst possible way we could.
Yeah,
that's
but
where we are.
Yeah, it's about what you learn in that process. So if you do a really, really hard deal as a real estate agent and you have to figure out how to get an investor involved and blah, 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 and do all this, guess what? You just got your degree in how to close a really hard deal. So when the next one comes around, you know exactly what to do.
Yep.
You have to treat this.
Those hard deals are like where you learn everything. That's where you're cutting your teeth. Like,
yes,
you can't teach that. You just have to learn through that process.
Same thing as an ISA. Same thing as an ISA. Your ISA when they start. Please, guys, please don't give them your best leads. That's irresponsible. Like, and I know you want to because you feel the pain of like, oh my gosh, I need this off my plate because I can't do this. Trust me, I get it. But don't
or I have to give them all this bright, shiny, fancy stuff to even have them come here or stay.
Yep. Everything is earned. If it's the right who, they will embrace it and run with it. I promise. You want somebody, you know, and this is my biggest, I'm a football fan. I love the Broncos, but my gosh, terrible this year. And I really think we've just tried to buy championships for the last couple of years. That's a very strong opinion. I could be completely wrong. I am not interested in buying championships. I want to build a dynasty. I want the next Tom Brady. Tom Brady was a 6th round draft pick and earned his way to everything that he ever got, and will go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks in history. Peyton Manning, same thing. Any of these guys that have ever risen to the top and stayed there consistently started at the bottom, and they earned their way there because they learned how to appreciate the toughness, the resistance. They embraced it. Everybody, I don't know.
No, it's so like you're giving me chills. It's very powerful. But somehow real estate became the easy job. And I think that's what the problem is right now is, real estate by numbers is the number one fallback career in the entire world. It's the number one second career in the entire world. People come to real estate from all kinds of different backgrounds. When I came up in this business, like the connotation was not like, oh, you just go get a real estate license and then it's so easy. And that certainly has never been my experience. And I will tell you, even the last couple of years where like everybody said it was finger quotes easy, that was hard as hell too. So I'm just not sure, in a different way, obviously, but I'm just not sure where, like, people don't go, I have a poster of Tom Brady on my wall. I'm going to become Tom Brady. It's going to be so easy. I'm just going to like lace up my sneakers and go out on the field and win a bunch of Super Bowl rings. No, I don't understand how the expectation in real estate became just like, oh, I spend $500 in 2 weeks out of a Cracker Jack box getting a license, and then I'm just going to make $1 million a year. It doesn't happen that way either.
Mm-hmm. And if you're thinking about this in the right way, you don't want that, because what that breeds is entitlement, and entitlement kills everything. The moment that I personally think that I know everything is the exact moment that I'm on the precipice of failing so bad that it costs my team, my clients, my family, everything. Entitlement is one of the biggest problems in our world today. That I should be given, I'm entitled to this. No, you're not. The world doesn't owe you anything. I hate to break it to you, and I wish it was different because it would be easier. But the world doesn't owe you anything. But you have the world in front of you. If you're just willing to view it the right way, ask for help, and put your boots on and go to work.
Don't hang up your
in our industry, I feel like is, for whatever reason, rampant. Like, you're entitled to my success, apparently. Like, I don't know when that happened, but it seems like that's some kind of a thing that's been happening the last like 5-10 years. Like, people all of a sudden think that they're just all of a sudden like entitled to success. Like, you're not. You have to get out there and work your ass off, just like everybody else. Like, it doesn't just happen for you. We don't just hand it to you. Like, that's not how you learn. Like, you don't learn by being handed shit. We weren't handed shit.
Well, like Matt said, you don't want to. That's not going to make you the person you want to be in the long run. And that person isn't going to make it through what we're going through right now. Those are no offense to those people. I'm sure they're lovely, but those are the 1,000 people in our state, thousands across the country who already hung up the license, right?
Yep. Or I think the other situation is leaders who weren't willing to take responsibility for how they hire, train, and coach people.
Absolutely. And people who don't have enough support.
Correct.
Or training or mentorship. Yeah.
Again, there's no shame because we all got to figure this out. But man, and I get emotional thinking about it. I go to work for 25 people every day. Like, that's how I view leadership, is I get to go to work for 25 people every single day. Those 25 people have families of their own that depend on me to pick up the phone or send that text or answer that call when it's 8:00 at night. Like, that's weighty. And I wouldn't have it any other way, because it's an honor and a privilege to get to do what we do as real estate agents. You get to help somebody in the biggest financial transaction of their life. You get to help somebody create memories. A home is a place where people create memories. They go through tragedy. There's so much. It's a safe haven. It's so much more than just that commission check, guys. It's so much more, and we need to start viewing it that way. And we need to understand exactly what's on the table. What are we called to? It's a client service business. If you're not a servant, I'm sorry, this isn't for you. So, but yeah, this is great, guys. Thanks for the opportunity.
I feel like we just went to Matt Church, and that was much.
Sorry for preaching.
No, that was amazing. So, we'll drop all of your information and how people can reach you in the show notes and on the podcast in the show notes too. But I know that you guys as a crew are kind of starting to branch out and offer some services to agents and teams that are growing themselves. Do you want to talk about that at all? Am I too early in mentioning that?
Go for it.
You tell us how people can connect with you and what you guys are offering to agents and teams across the country if needed.
Yeah. So there's a couple of different ways if you want to connect with Jordan and I. Number one, DM us on Facebook, please, personally, or Instagram. Jordan uses more Facebook. I use more Instagram. Clearly, Jordan's actually getting a TikTok here soon. I can't wait for that. That's so great.
So great.
So DM us, number one, if you ever want to chat. We also use an app called Marco Polo to communicate. That's our internal communication system. If you ever Marco Polo me, I promise you, I will always get back to you within 24 hours. That's just another inbox in my life that I get to zero at the end of the day. Marco Polo me. If you want to connect, if you're interested in connecting with us, let's say you're looking for more leads, leadership, and leverage in your life, we have an opportunity for you if you want to chat about that. If there's anything we can do to help just coach you on something in the business, you can reach out to us. If you're interested in the lead follow-up plans and all that stuff, again, DM me and I'll get you connected with the right people. We have solutions for you. I can tell you they're not for everybody because they take a significant amount of commitment to follow through and actually make the money doing them. But if we can align it and it is a good fit, then it's a mutual thing. So I'm not just here to sell you something. I want to make sure it's a good fit. So
You guys are exemplary leaders. I don't know if you're hiring as a team right now, but if I could pick a team in Colorado to work for, it would probably have been you guys. I wish that there had been opportunities like that for me growing up, and it irritates me so bad to see all these people in Facebook groups at the end of the year that are like, I gave my team 50% and all they gave me was blah, 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 blah,
Yep.
or all that, and it's like, you guys are very lucky to have opportunities to go and work for, people like you and Jordan who are really teaching and growing the next generation of realtors. So thank you for all of the hard work that you do in leading the future generation. And we are very excited to see you. Matt, hang with us a few minutes and we'll see you guys next week.
Woo!
Angela and Lindsay would love to receive your real estate referrals in Colorado. Connect with the Homegirls on social media at The Real Homegirls Podcast.